were airborne for just a moment, and we were really up in the air. We were really up in the air.
Hello, and welcome to another flight with Maxwell's Virtual Aviation, now in MS2024. It is a marginally VFR day. We have a job to do, and we have a Cessna Caravan that's going to take us there. So let's check out some of the features of the new simulator and just go on a regular, normal flight. What do you say? We are ready to fly. So, welcome. This is historical weather. There was some marginal VFR earlier today that I thought would make a really good flight. And so we are going to experiment with that. But first, we're going to check out our aircraft here. This, of course, is the Asobo Caravan. And we're going to start doing what every flight since the Wright brothers has done. We're just going to do a quick walk around. And we are going to check all of these. This, I think, is a really cool thing in the simulator. Do I think it should be optional? Yes, I do. But for me, it just kind of sets what I'm doing, right? I'm walking around my aircraft. I'm looking at it, inspecting it. And I've gotten the Cessna down. This has been my most successful aircraft in the sim, outside of the Hercules, of course. Where when I set things up right, and generally I'm not trying to make a video of it, it works really, really well. However, the minute I try to make a video of it, it all goes to heck. And let's just say this isn't the first attempt at trying to make this video, but I got stuff I want to say. I have things I want to share. And I'm super excited that we have a new flight simulator. And I'm also super excited that the Caravan is as awesome as it is because it's one of my favorite aircraft and has been since FS 2004. So, just checking on everything, making sure everything is as it is. I am very curious as to why we don't have a changeable registration like we did. I'm guessing that's coming, but not quite yet. I think I've hit everything as far as that goes. Now here is the background of what we're doing today. We've got a film crew that's filming up at Rock Creek at Elliott Field is the access to that, about 30 miles to the east, and we are going to deliver some stuff to them. As an aside, in reality, Yellowstone in 1923 have been filming literally across the street from where I work, and also here in western Montana. So I have gotten to see some of the behind-the-scenes crew. Has been really cool. I got a chat with one of the medics. I had a grip in yesterday. What's really funny is the cargo door doesn't unlock on this aircraft. Kind of annoying, even though I can click on it. But, so we are going to be delivering a whole bunch of stuff to them today. About 650 pounds worth. Why we're flying it, I don't know. Their assistant just contacted me, was like, hey, they could just use a box truck to do the exact same job, but apparently they want us to fly it. So right now, we have no cargo. However, we need to load, like I said, about 650 pounds, flight performance, mass and balance, cargo, in cabin, and you can switch between pod and cabin, but we can add 650 pounds here. Where did that 55 go? There we go. And we are going to load into aircraft, and there we go. Our cargo's loaded. We're good to go. Now, I have a checklist that I wrote for this aircraft based on several other checklists. and we are going to follow that. Something I'm going to do is I'm going to read through the checklist and then talk. I've had some problems trying to do both at the same time. So, let's get in. Let us make sure that we have flight controls. That has been a problem in the past. Shout out to I Dig Stuff on Etsy. I have their throttle levers for the Caravan currently set up on my Honeycomb Bravo, and it's cool because it looks exactly like this. I have seen people on the forums being like, what's new in FS 2024? Is it really new? And I'm sorry. Here's something new in 2024. This lever right here, the engine emergency power, is actually active now. In 2020, it was not. A lot of what was functional in the Caravan now was not functional in 2024. So obviously, there's been some work done. I haven't actually set this up yet, but it is one of the levers that is included in the Caravan package, and we will be getting that. So, let's get started, shall we? We are going to fly first, then talk. Fly first, then talk. What that means is I'm actually going to read through this checklist, and then once we reach a point where I can pause, I will talk at you. All right, here we go. Pre-start checklist. Parking brake is on. Battery on. Avionics both on. Fuel selectors are on. Condition lever, cutoff, propeller, max, power, idle, prop area. They'll move. Beacon light is on, and inertial separator as required. It is not required since we're on tarmac. So, this is fairly much the exact same Cessna that we had. It's just there's more, and I haven't even really begun to explore it yet. But it works. If you can fly the Cessna, honestly, in 2004, you can fly this Cessna. It is a little more up to date, but it's pretty much the same one as 2020, but a lot has changed. You just have to kind of explore it. We are going to get our engine started. So again, we are going to use the mantra of fly first, then talk. So here we go. Let's get the Caravan started, and then I'll chat a little bit more with you. Ignition can go ahead and go on. Fuel pump on. Starter. Engage. And now one of the best sounds ever. Alright, oil pressure is rising. Condition lever is going to go to low at 12% NG. There's 12. Here comes the fuel. We're monitoring ITT. And it's peaked and dropping. There's 50%. Starter can go ahead and come off. Ignition to norm. Fuel boost to norm. Flaps can go ahead to take off. Altimeter set and check. Navigation lights are going to go ahead and come on. Taxi lights can go ahead and come on. And cabin lights aren't required for this since we're flying cargo. Alright. Here we have a running and ready to go Cessna Caravan. Doesn't that look amazing? Pay no attention to the aircraft that's halfway inside of the building behind us. I forgot to take my chocks out. Let's see what happens when I jump out. There we go. Chocks away. Alright. One of the things that they've really improved, in my opinion, is the ATC. Now, I know there are a lot of haters on the ATC that comes with the sim, But for me, having listened to the darn near same voices since FS9, 2004 Century of Flight, it's so nice to hear a much more realistic and natural sounding ATC set. And so I know that opinions are varied, but for me, it makes it much, it does work. So we are about to taxi. AP not worried. Taxi area. Well, there is this person over here, but all right. Anti-ice as required. It is only 4 degrees Celsius, so we're going to go ahead and turn on our pitot heat as a precaution. And last but not least, taxi clearance received. Let's give them a call and see what they have to say. We're actually going to depart to the east.
Missoula ground, Blackfoot 15 with Mike request taxi for takeoff, east departure.
Blackfoot 15 taxi to and hold short of runway 12 using taxiway Delta Bravo Alpha. Contact tower on 121.9er when ready.
Taxi to and hold short runway 12 using taxiway Delta Bravo Alpha Blackfoot 15.
Here we go. Parking brake is going to go ahead and come off. Little bit of power. Just a little touch, and we are rolling. Run over the person on the cart there and start making our way towards runway 12. So I think that there is a lot more depth in the simulation of even this aircraft, as, to be honest, a Cessna Caravan is honestly a relatively simple aircraft when you get right down to it. But there's way more to think about and do now in this aircraft. And there is Frid. She is just hanging out, doing Frid things. Pop outside here and find out where I'm going here, which is right over here. As a note, if you're setting up turboprop aircraft, single turboprop in this case, one of the things that I couldn't figure out was I normally use decreased throttle in order to get into reverse thrust. If you do this in 2024, it will stop at a detent. What I discovered is if you map the button on the Bravo control that is also your continue to reduce, right, which we normally use for reverse, if you map that also to previous detent, it will also continue past that detent and put you into reverse thrust. So that is how I have learned how to put this into reverse thrust. So there's a little bit. This aircraft is much more responsive and has a much more alive feel than any aircraft that I've flown virtually. There's weight to this aircraft. As a note, the last time I went to Elliott Field, well, the first time I went to Elliott Field, I had to avoid moose on the runway, which was a shock, and then I turned too quick on my U-turn at the end of the field and flipped the Caravan. So I was unaware that you could do that. I've never done that in Flight Simulator before, but apparently with the new ground modeling, you can flip aircraft on soft surfaces. So that was kind of surprising. I have pegged the ITT on this thing on takeoff, which I never experienced in 2020. It wasn't a thing that happened. Now I have to watch that on takeoff, especially, you know, depending on what's going on. So, something to look out for as well. There is definitely more depth in this, and more has planned about that. I do like the inclusion of the EFB. That is way too far. That's a little better. It's really cool. And I'll show you one of the ways that I use it in a little bit. But you saw how I loaded the aircraft. And again, it might be a little LARPy, but I love the ability to do that. And I'm curious to see with some of my virtual airlines how I can incorporate that loading, unloading, stuff like that into the routine of flying for them. Because, for instance, not only the aircraft, I'm flying... Okay, let's back up a little bit. If I were flying for one of my airlines right now, I'd be flying for Blackfoot Air Charters, which I run through FS Hub. Currently, I'm not quite sure how to get FS IUPC working in MS2024. I figure it'll be updated within, a little bit, and we'll fly then and there, so I'm not worried about it. But that's why the call sign is Blackfoot, because I'd be flying for a charter service, and this is actually one of the flights that we have on our schedule, is out to Elliott Field. So I would be flying for them if I were to do this, because I enjoy having reason to fly. It's one of the things that I truly adore and enjoy. So for the record, we're going to be taking off runway 12. Our departure is going to be, for the most part, straight out if anything happens. We are, and we're committed, we're going to take off, immediately enter into right traffic, and try to make it back, is our plan. Short of that, we are going to continue up the valley, basically following the Clark Fork River, over Bonner and Clinton, and then make the turn there. We will make a determination weather-wise whether or not we're going to come straight in on 8 or come around to 26. I think it's 26, maybe it's 23, I don't remember. But that will determine it. Not to mention an overflight might help in case of wildlife on the runway, which we've run into in the past. So that is that. Do you have any questions? She doesn't. So I think we're good to go. You'll notice, by the way, that both of us, I changed our clothes because it's like 40 degrees outside. Oh, by the way, speaking of animals, look at that. There's a moose at the end of the runway. Yeah, hopefully the moose will move. But there's a moose at... Oh, I don't know what happened to the moose. I think it just fell asleep. I think it fell asleep. Oh, nope, he's awake. Oh, he's up again. I hope he moves. But there's a moose at the end of our runway. I'm going to take a picture of that. Hold on. We're going to stop here. And I'm going to just kind of zoom in a little bit. And we're going to take a picture of the moose. There we go. Alright, we're going to do our best to avoid the moose on takeoff. We're going to come up a little bit closer to 12 here. So, now for the takeoff. Again, we need to start... Oh, I think there he goes. Nope, he's all over the place. Oh. Alright. So, takeoff. PC briefing I have given. Flight instruments are set. We're going to double check our barometer there. By the way, if you don't know, the barometer in the basic key binding is the comma key. Or the less than key. So, that's how you set the barometer, not B if you're used to that. It's the comma key. Alright, controls, free and clear. We're going to double check to make sure that they are in fact working. We're going to go ahead and put our parking brake on here. That wasn't what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to do. Alright. Full. Bip. Alright. Flight controls are free. Landing lights will be on once we enter the taxiway. Strobe lights will be on once we enter the taxiway. Cabin lights are not required since we're hauling cargo. Condition lever is going to go ahead and go to high. Takeoff clearance, that, and runway clear. Runway is not clear. There's a moose on the runway. And I can't tell where the moose is going. So we're going to go ahead and ask for takeoff clearance, and then we're going to do our best to avoid the moose.
Missoula Tower Blackfoot 15 ready at runway 12 east departure.
Blackfoot 15 altimeter tree 0.001 departure to the east approved. Cleared for takeoff, runway 12.
Cleared for takeoff, runway 12 Blackfoot 15.
And our brakes are not holding us. There we go. Tower, be advised that there's a moose at the end of the runway. We're going to do our best to avoid, but might be wise to let other traffic know that the runway is in fact not clear. Blackfoot 15. All right, the rest of our lights on here. Strobes on. All right, generally I've discovered that a Caravan will take off at about 70, but with this much weight, it'll probably be closer to 80. Here we go. Watching our ITT, making sure it stays within limits. There's 70. A little bit of back pressure. Oh! And we're flying. Excellent. One of the things I noticed instantly about the flight characteristics of this aircraft is that there's weight to this aircraft. It feels heavy.
Blackfoot 15 continue for east departure.
Missoula Tower Blackfoot 15, continue for east departure.
And I think we're pretty good. Flap's gonna go ahead and come up. There's the nose dip that we're expecting. And we are gonna continue to accelerate. So, there is Missoula below us. Nothing to complain about the senior year textures there, but this is that marginal VFR. So it's not as marginal as I was looking at, but just this low kind of cloud ceiling that we had earlier today that I thought would be really fun to fly in. And I was not wrong. There you can see where our ITT has pegged. So I'm gonna bring the power back just a little bit. That wasn't something I've ever had to watch in the default Caravan. It just wasn't modeled. It didn't happen.
Blackfoot 15, leaving my airspace, frequency change approved.
Missoula Tower Blackfoot 15, frequency change.
I just think those voices sound so much more natural. I mean, yeah, they're not perfect, but they're way better than anything that we've had, and I really appreciate that. All right, we're gonna go ahead, start trimming down, start pulling power a little bit here. Since we are way high for this flight, we want to stay below this cloud layer.
Spokane approach Blackfoot 15 is type Cessna Caravan 1 miles.
Getting rocked a little bit here.
Charlie, Quebec, 5,600 feet. Request flight following.
Blackfoot 15, Spokane approach. Squawk 4364.
Squawk 4364, Blackfoot 15.
So in case you couldn't tell, I've got buttons
Blackfoot
mapped on
15
my
radar
yoke
contact
to
1
answer
mile south of Kilo Uniform, Charlie,
the
Quebec,
basics.
5,500 feet. Altimeter tree 0.01.
Roger, Blackfoot 15.
All right, so we are now heading out of Missoula to the east. That's East Missoula below us, off to the left. In front of us is Bonner, where we're filming Yellowstone in 1923. They shoot the interiors out there in a warehouse across from where I work. It's kind of cool, I think. But anyway, we're getting rocked a little bit here, as you can see. Grid seems to be doing fine, though. I haven't figured out how to quite get AI interaction with, or Copilot interaction with, like, my radios, because in 2020 I would just go up to my toolbar. Haven't really played around with it enough yet, but this is pretty much what I saw at 3 o'clock today when I got, or 2 o'clock today when I got off of work. Just like this. This is what the clouds look like with these patches of clear off to the east and surrounding. So this is slightly better. The lighting is better than 2020. I'm running most of my settings at high. I have a solidly mid-tier system. The biggest thing that I've done for my computer in advance of 2024 is I went from 32 to 64 gigs of RAM. And the only reason I went to 64 gigs of RAM is because I wanted to record videos. And that's one thing that Jorg said, was that if you're going to be multitasking, you're going to want 64. So because I knew I would be doing this, I elected to do that. Other things are the trees. The trees are crisper. There's more variation. They're still occasionally in the wrong place. But the trees look so much better than they did in 2020. It's kind of surprising. We're actually going to turn off our landing lights and our taxi lights. Which is normally mapped to buttons on this. I haven't quite gotten... Yeah, we're working on the mapping bit. But it's incredibly powerful, and I haven't unlocked the way to do it yet. But it's been fun. So we are heading towards Rock Creek, Elliott Field. And Elliott Field is where one of the ice road truckers died in a plane crash. It's a very tricky place to come into. It is... Oh, you'll see. You can either come around a corner and hope for the best, offset from where you're coming in, or you can try to squeeze your way around the valley in order to set up for landing. So, those are kind of your options. Neither of which is very good, depending. So one thing I am going to do, let me see if this will work. I don't know if it will or not. I'm going to use this. Will this move that? Let's see. Yes, it will. We're going to go ahead and set this to 8.0 here. That gives us an idea of where that runway is going to be. I am, since we're not using GPS, I am using that indicator. Remember, folks, I'm not a real pilot. I do this for fun. I'm not really a systems guy. I'm slowly learning, but right now that's not my primary thing. So I'm like, oh, the little green pointy thing, I align it to the runway so I know which direction I'm going. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's how we fly here at Maxwell's Virtual Aviation. She's good. Cargo looks fine. But no, everything looks really good. This is pretty much when things are working, and they haven't... My first day was rough. My first day was really, really rough. Woo, there's some weather back there. Was really rough. But my second day got way better, and now on the third day, I've not failed to get into the simulator. Alright, now it's time to start flying. So excuse me while I stop bantering. That corner, our airport is right around that corner. So we are going to start a descent. We're going to cancel our flight following.
Spokane approach Blackfoot 15, cancel flight following.
Blackfoot 15, Spokane approach cancellation received. Squawk 1200. Frequency change approved.
We're going to jump onto Elliott Field here, and we're going to... So this is something that's new. I think we're going to overfly is what we're going to do. I just think I can announce that, which is cool.
Blackfoot 15 flying over the airport. Romeo Charlie 0, traffic Blackfoot 152 miles west, 4,500 feet inbound to land runway 26.
So we are going to land 26. We are going to do a flyby of the airport. That's the airport right down there next to the railroad tracks, between the railroad tracks and the highway there. Keep an eye on our speed here. Airport looks clear. There are no moose in the middle of it that I can see. But you can kind of see how this could be tricky to get in any sort of severe weather. Alright, we're going to go ahead. Alright. Descent, anti-ice as required. Altimeter set and check. That is our comma key there. We're going to go ahead and run our landing checklist right quick. Flaps will be set. Propeller is max. Exterior lights, go ahead and turn those on. AP is definitely off. Landing area is clear. And landing clearance is received. Obviously, since we are on advisories, I think it's called advisories now. We used to say Unicom, but apparently they changed that. People would be like, nope, don't call it Unicom or whatever. But woo, look at that. All right. We're just going to go ahead. We're going to call final here in a moment. So, at 126 knots with a little bit of power, and we're going to go ahead and give approach flaps. There is the, we're going to counter trim that. And we're going to start our turn in. We're going to go ahead and announce final.
Romeo Charlie 0 traffic Blackfoot 15 is on final runway 26 to land.
This is where things are going to get interesting. There's the highway below me. I have to get between the highway and the railroad tracks. And I've discovered that this likes to land right at about that 70-80 knot range. Really playing with my power here, trying to keep that. Oh, look at all the cars on the highway. Holiday traffic, no doubt. There is, I can see the runway. Now comes the fun part. Well, if you make that turn, it's a fairly see how to set it up. It's not too bad. All right, there's 125. We're gonna start decreasing, and here comes full flap. Flaps are full, landing lights are on, runway's clear. Trying to get it down to about 80 knots. Approach speed here. 100 and dropping. Trying to keep that nose down. Sometimes that can be kind of tough, but just kind of play with our power here. Watch it.
500.
500 heard. That's how I just acknowledge to myself and to Frid over there that we are in fact coming in. We're 94 knots. We're a little hot. We are going to be doing a soft field landing, so I do need to be aware of that. We're going to try to get our speed decreasing a little bit here. Again, looking for 80 knots. I've got a good view of the runway committing. We're going to go ahead and land. There's 80, a little bit of power in here. We're going to hold that. Look how good those trees look. Look how good those trees look. There's 81, excellent. Coming in. Over the threshold there. Power is going to come to idle. Gonna hold it, gonna hold it. And there we go. Into reverse and brakes. There we go. Flaps can go ahead and come up. Notice how much motion there is on the ground now. There's a lot of motion on the ground here. So in reality, there are hangars about halfway down the runway, but we're going to say that that hangar up and to our right is where we're going. So we're going to brake. You can see on tarmac, you get rubber marks when you brake hard. You can see that since we're behind the engine, we're getting that exhaust. Now, I have to be very careful. We're going to go ahead and bring this to low idle. I hope that was low idle. Oh, I think I just killed it. Yep. turn here. Yep. I'm in fact in low idle, thankfully. I didn't kill the motor. Alright. I can actually look. Yep, we are in low idle. There we go, and we'll come up to this hangar here. Again, you will flip this if you turn too quickly. Look how good that looks. Look at that. That looks so good. On the ground there, you can see where all the hangars in reality are. Should announce that we're clear of the runway too.
Romeo, Charlie 0 traffic Blackfoot 15 is clear of the runway.
And we will taxi to right here. And a little bit of brake. Parking brake is on. And we'll just do a quick shutdown here. Whole bunch of alarms are going to go off. We're going to silence all of them because I can't actually silence them through that. And I don't have like a master button to silence them. If everyone knows how to turn the alarms off when that happens, let me know. Actually, hold on. There it is. There we go. I see what happened. I was just in the wrong screen there. Well, we have arrived. Let's get our lights off here. Yep. Go ahead and turn that off too. All right, everything's good there. That's up. Go and turn our battery off. Fuel boost off. That's off. Ignition's norm. Avionics can go ahead and come off. And our parking brake's on. I think we're safe to jump out. And here we are. So welcome to Elliott Field. This is, you can see this right from the highway, obviously, the highway being right over there. Rock Creek is a world-famous fishing destination, which I believe is why the ice road trucker was heading there. But there's a memorial to him there. And, yeah. But needless to say, look up the history of Rock Creek. There have been some interesting festivals that were held here. But when you drive by on I-90, you can see this airport, and it's really cool, actually. But let's get the job done so we can finish this flight up. We're going to wander around here. So Tony, the director, is here. He is ready to get his stuff. He's anxious to get it. Oh, by the way, if you start walking, and you'll just keep walking sometimes and run into things like that. Let's go ahead and open that door. See, it's funny. Now you hear the sound of the highway. I think it's related to the door. I'm not sure. But watch this. We are going to unload this cargo now. And if it goes right, you should see the airplane get lighter. It's kind of cool. So let's empty the aircraft. Maybe. I've done this once before and it was really cool. Let's hear. Darn it, that makes me mad, because I've done it once before and I managed to empty the cargo, which was kind of cool. And I wish I could do it again, but I reset. Does that work? Will that reset my fuel though too? Anyway, at one point I did a quick fill. There it goes, just like that. And now our plane is empty. So apparently I have to increase and then decrease. Our plane is empty. We've delivered the cargo here, and we'll get out of here. And walk back around. Yes, I know I could shift C back into the cockpit, but this is more fun. So this is Elliott Field. Look how good the grass looks. See, and that's what happens, is you keep walking, and then you'll keep walking, and you'll run into stuff. Get into the cockpit here, check on Fridge. She's doing fine. She's always doing fine. Abbreviated startup here. Parking brake is on. Battery, go ahead and go on. Avionics are both on. Fuel selectors, double check that they're on. Fuel selectors are on. Condition is in cutoff. Propeller goes to max. Power is idle. Prop area is clear. Beacon light can go ahead and come on. Initial separator is going to be on for this takeoff since we are on grass. I probably should have turned it on landing, but there we go. All right, well, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and go through our start. Ignition can go ahead and come on. Fuel pump is on. Starter is engaged. Watching oil pressure. Oil pressure is coming up as it should. Waiting for low at 12% NG. There's 12%. Here comes the fuel. Man, I love to hear the sound of that PT6 starting up. We're watching ITT, still on its way up. It's peaked and on the way down. And there's 50. Starter can go ahead and go off. Ignition to norm. And fuel boost to norm. Flaps, go ahead and set those to take off. Altimeter set and check. Navigation lights, go ahead and come on. Taxi lights are on. Cabin lights not required because we are hauling cargo. T's and P's, everything's in the green. Engine's coming up just fine. Taxi. All right, taxi. AP not required. Taxi area is clear. Anti-ice. Gonna go ahead and turn that on. It is the fall. Taxi clearance, we're not, we'll go ahead and give that, but I think everything else is good to go. We do remember that our parking brake is on.
Romeo, Charlie 0, traffic Blackfoot 15 is taxiing to runway 26.
All right, we've let people know that we're taxiing. Parking brake can go ahead and come off. We'll just give it a little squirt of power here. A little bit more. There we go. The amount of drag that we have now because of soft surfaces is absolutely amazing. It's nothing like it was in 2020. Like, absolutely. Look at the motion that I'm getting as I'm over the ground. It was on my taxi back in my turn that I flipped the last Caravan that I brought in here. So, be aware that's a thing that can happen. So I'm guessing that we're going to be landing 1-2, so it'll probably be right traffic into Missoula. So as a note, Fred, we're going to be taking off runway 26. You definitely want to start immediately climbing and heading to the right as we take off. I don't know if they're going to have enough altitude or distance to be able to execute the standard right-hand turn and head back. But if we can, that's the plan. Otherwise, we're going to try to aim for the highway. I think that's the only thing we can do. Takeoff is going to be about 75 knots. Probably anything before 40 we're going to be good to stop. Before that, we're going to be committed to takeoff. So, there you go. All right, taxi, let's see, takeoff checklist. PC briefing has been given. Flight instruments are set. Again, double check our barometer. Controls. Woohoo, free and clear. Landing lights will go on. Strobe lights, once we're ready to go, they will be on. Cabin lights are off. Not that it matters because we're hauling cargo and cargo doesn't scream. Condition will go to high. Takeoff clearance will be given and runway will be clear. So we'll double check that once we get to the end of the runway here. Look how good that looks. I do want to remember that I'm looking at things sideways and I'm not... Go ahead and go to flight idle here and just let that... Little bit of reverse there. I have a couple of friends who fly PT-6 equipped aircraft and turboprop aircraft. I have an instructor for Ameriflight. I have someone who was a captain at Horizon flying the Q400. And they remind me, and I guess I remind other simmers, that reverse is how you slow down an aircraft, a turboprop aircraft. You do not use the brakes if you can help it. You use reverse. And for whatever reason, at least for me, I was always like, oh, I'm not going to use reverse. Use reverse. You use reverse. That's how you slow down. You save your brakes. All right. Let's run through our takeoff checklist again really quick. PC briefing has been given. Flight instruments are set. Controls, free and clear, already checked. Landing lights can go ahead and come on. Strobe light is going to go ahead and come on. Cabin light is off. Condition is going to go ahead and come to high. Takeoff clearance.
Romeo Charlie 0 traffic Blackfoot 15. Taking off runway 26 departure to the west.
Has been given. Runway is clear. Takeoff checklist complete. We're going to do a standing power takeoff here. So you can see how we're offset from that mountain. We actually have to go left, then right. It is not an easy takeoff, but that's why they pay me the big bucks. Virtually, anyway. All right, here we go. Bring the power up. Now, what's cool is our brakes don't hold us. I've got full brakes. They do not hold us. Here we go. Again, looking for 75 for liftoff. There's 20. Speed's alive. Cross-check. TMPs are good. There's 60. 70. A little bit of back pressure. Let's see if... Oh, we're flying. Tap the brakes. Bring that power back just a little bit. Gonna go ahead and get those flaps up. And start our left-hand turn so that we can make our right-hand turn. See, there's a mountain right there. And there's still a mountain over there. T's and P's still look good.
500.
500 are... You look catatonic with fear. Go ahead and close our inertial separator. Keep an eye on those T's and P's. Just brush the mountain here and we'll climb on out of here. Oh, there it is. That's what I was wondering about. We were gonna... There we go. We are on our way out of here. You can see how that cloud layer has moved in a little bit. That is, I was thinking earlier today about how we used to have dynamic weather, right? We'd have the dynamic weather campaigns as our presets. They weren't like they are static now, like clouds, you know. We would have dynamic weather. Well, we can have dynamic weather with historical weather. I know that people were complaining about historical weather, and I was poo-pooing them kind of in my brain. Now I understand. Oh man, it looked like this at 3 o'clock. I wanted to go flying then, but I couldn't. But I can through the joy of historical weather. So I now understand a little bit about why it's important to have historical weather. So yeah, that's going into Elliott Field. That was just me trying to put my water bottle away. At which I failed miserably. So this low cloud layer is what I saw. Whew, bit of vertigo there. Wow. Is what I saw when I left work, and I thought, man, that looks like that would be a challenge to fly in and get back. So here we are. So anyway, you can see all of the logging roads that are cut here on the sides of the mountains, and just the way that all the trees look like individual little bits. I'm not going to take the time to call Spokane approach for flight following, but this cloud layer is slightly worrisome. But anyway, for the record, you can jump into Flight Simulator 2024 and have a good flight. Like that's a thing. It can look good, it can fly good, it'll give you time to appreciate what's changed. Yeah, it's pretty good. I've enjoyed it a lot. And I know it's going to get better. I don't think those who come from, oh my gosh, I'm going to say it, the modern generation understand what it was. With FSX, we got a sim and we had no updates for years. It was all community work. Same with 2004. You play those games today, they're still borked in various and different ways. It is nothing like it is today. We have it so good as simmers when it comes to MSFS. Like, enjoy it because it is much improved. Alright, let's go ahead and contact Missoula. Oh, also, other things that have changed. So in Missoula, St. Patrick Hospital and Missoula Community Hospital both have helipads, both are modeled. I've checked them out. They're relatively good representations of what those helipads look like. They have never existed in the flight sim before. Ever. Ever. We have them now. And you can go and fly and land on them. So, what's new? All kinds of cool stuff. Oops. We are not going to call community. They're going to be very confused if we do.
Missoula Tower Blackfoot 15 is 9 miles east 5,300 feet with Mike to land.
Let's see where they put us.
Blackfoot 15, Missoula Tower. Altimeter 30.0. 1 make right traffic, runway 12.
Right traffic 12, much as I suggested.
Make right downwind, runway 12 Blackfoot 15.
I don't know if you noticed, but do you notice how I have a slight hesitation, a bit of a pause when I'm talking? It's not quite natural speak, but it's so much better than it's been. And since I'm primarily a VFR pilot, that's what I'm interested in, right? So this is the backside here of Mount Jumbo. Mount Sentinel's over there. The University of Montana is located right down there. I think I've done a tour video on one of my videos on my channel. So there is our airport. We're actually going to do a great big turn here and come all the way around to do our landing. So here we are over the Rattlesnake. 4,200 is our pattern altitude, and I like to put the bug there at 4,200 so that I can be aware of where my pattern altitude is. That is the Van Buren Bridge right there, going behind the tablet. There, of course, is the University of Montana Washington Grizzly Stadium. There's the M, notable landmark of the university. Down there you can see where the oval is in the center there. The X's, apartments over there, and the lines on the mountain are from Glacial Lake, Missoula. They are the water lines from the ancient sea, basically. Yep, she's looking at him too. The ancient sea that used to, that gave Missoula its name, and also was one of the major geologic events of America, really. You should look it up. Lake Missoula, it's fascinating. It has effects all the way out into Washington and Idaho State. We are going really fast. We are going to slow down. We are now crossing over I-90. That is Southgate Mall right there below us. And we're coming in for that right-hand traffic. When I did my discovery flight, it seems obvious, but the instructor was like, yeah, if you're on a right-hand pattern, you make right-hand turns. If you're on a left-hand pattern, you make left-hand turns. I was always trying to figure out what side of the runway am I going on. Nope. We're on 12. We need to make right-hand turns. So that tells me I'm in a right-hand traffic pattern. I can see our airport out there. We're at 4,400 feet, looking for 42. Now roughly over Fort Missoula, kind of, sort of. It's cool when you fly in the big jets. This is sort of the way you go. You actually go more over the city and then into 1-2 if you're taking a visual on 1-2. But we're at 4,300 feet. We're looking good. We do need to lose a little bit more speed here. I mean, we're not flying an airliner here, but this is pretty much as it looks. Like, look at that. That looks really good. That looks better than 2020, folks. I'm sorry. It looks better than 2020. All right, so we're going to come to 3-0 here. Actually, yeah, we're going to come to 3-0 here because that is the reciprocal for the other runway. 3-0 and 1-2. My mom's house is right over there, actually. Right over her shoulder there. Alright, we are now at pattern altitude, so we're going to try to hold this a little bit. Speed's going to come down just a little bit. But we're expecting that. Once we hit the tower, we're going to go ahead and do approach flaps. We're a little low, that's okay. But look at look how the light falls now. Isn't that gorgeous? It's lovely. Absolutely lovely. We gained a little bit of altitude there. So we can go ahead and come down just a little bit. And we're halfway there. Bring our speed down just a touch more so we can safely lower those flaps. We don't want to rip them off. That would be bad. In the immortal words of Ghostbuster, I'm fuzzy on the whole good bad thing. Try to explain bad. Try to imagine the plane as you know it suddenly crashing to Earth and everything you know dying. Right, that's
Clear
bad.
to land runway.
Important safety
12
tip.
Black
Thanks,
Foot
Egon.
15.
Alright, here we go. We've got our landing clearance. Flaps coming to approach. Counter trimming. Landing. Flaps set. Propeller is max. Exterior lights are all on. AP is off. Landing area is clear. Landing clearance has been received. Alright, well, let's do the thing. Not gonna lie, the pilot is a little uncanny valley, but it's way better than flying with an empty cockpit all the time. And it looks like we do have some weather moving, and we're gonna try to beat it in here. Alright, let's do a little bit more trim up here. We're just gonna give ourselves plenty of room. Alright. Here we go. Last time I was a little close on this one, so I try to give myself a little bit more. As I come in, what I'm using as my landmarks are where the highway is in relation to things, and actually it's actually Broadway, because the runway is on the same side as that as I am. So here we go. A little bit less power, and I don't think there it is. We're gonna go ahead and go full flap. here is that we're actually on glide slope for some crazy set of circumstances. Please, I don't normally do this. I am a high flyer. Period, period, period. But we somehow managed to make glide slope. I have the rabbit. And we are like on course, on speed. I did not intend for that to happen. Alright, we are still a little high. We got 3 and 1. Speed's a little high. Lights are on. That looks good. Still a little high. There's 2 and 2. We're good. 91. We are still fast. Alright, we're going to try to maintain our... 500 herd and continuing. There's 85. Little off, but we can correct for that. 83. Smidge more power. Maintain that angle. Power's coming down. We're a little high still. There we go. We're going to try to hold that. Speed's good. Angle's good. Little high. Still a little high. See, we got, there we go. And then we're trying to maintain that as opposed to play catch up with it. There we go. There's 83. Alright, there's 1, 2. Switch our perspective to the end of the runway there. Keep it coming down. There's our flight idle. We're going to fly it all the way to the ground. Oh, we're off a little bit. Nope, nope, nope. And we're along. Oh, man. Not bad. Nope, oh, oh, oh.
Exit runway when able.
They still haven't, like, I can't respond to that and be like, yes, I'm going to exit when able, but here we go. Is that the other? That is the other runway. We are going to avoid that. Alright, here we go. Let's bring this to low idle. There we go. Go ahead and bring our flaps up. I see our exit right there.
Exit runway when able.
And we are going to exit runway when able. Thank you very much.
Blackfoot 15, contact ground on 121.9er.
121.9er for Blackfoot 15.
The sound you hear is me looking at paper charts. Because yes, I do have an EFB right there, but I also have an airport diagram of Missoula right here. So, let's see. Helena, Great Falls. Here we are. Missoula. I think that we are at Alpha 3 right now.
Missoula ground Blackfoot 15, request taxi to parking.
Blackfoot 15 taxi to General Aviation, parking via taxiway Alpha Cross runway 26 Charlie Bravo.
Taxiing to General Aviation parking using taxiway Alpha Cross runway 26 Charlie Bravo Blackfoot 15.
Alpha 3. Alright, we're just gonna head to parking. Aha, where the rules are made up, and that doesn't matter. What's interesting is I have everything except I have every letter on this thing except Charlie. There's Alpha. There's Bravo 2. There's Bravo 1. At some point, I'm going to look at that and be like, oh, there's where that is. But I haven't found it yet. So we are going to go back from whence we came, basically. Except we are going to... Yeah, we're going to go this way. Do-do-do-do-do. Somebody stop that plane. Anyway. So... This is Flight Simulator 2024. It is on one hand extremely similar to Flight Simulator 2020, and on the other hand, it is a huge improvement. And I think we're only going to discover that as we get closer. I want to notice something right now, by the way. I don't know if you've been watching the window in front of me. The window has gotten dirtier as we've been flying. Yeah. There is more dirt on that window now than when there was when I started. I don't know what to think about that. I was noticing that there was one little blop, and then it looks like there's more little blops. I don't know how you clean the blops. If anyone knows how to clean blops off your wind, please let me know. So here's the main terminal, which is actually relatively close to what our main terminal looks like. We're building a new one, so whether or not, I'm sure someone will come through. There was a Missoula for 2020 that would probably work just fine, but we'll see. But it's kind of close to what it looks like. But I'm just going to bring us back over to the general aviation that we pull. I don't know why there are all of these smaller regional jets. Embraers primarily fly to Missoula. I imagine that if I had real traffic on, that is a large block of something. It is literally just a giant block. I'm not sure what it's supposed to be. It's just a giant block, and it's kind of terrifying. So, you apparently get things like that. Don't know what it is. It's a giant block. Oh, it's a bus. Never mind. It's a bus. It turned into a bus. We don't have buses here in Missoula, but I guess. And there's still airplanes inside of buildings. Hopefully they find a way to correct that. And textures are slowly loading in over here. You can see that we have a surprising amount of helicopters. Life Flight's area, or Life Flight is over here. It is out of this area of the airport. So yes, also this is where business jets and other things normally park. This is one of our FBOs. This is Minuteman on this side, I believe, on this side. And we're just going to pull up here and park. Did you see when I hit the brakes how we get those little rubber marks? Yeah. Every little rubber mark is money. Every little rubber mark is money. Anyway, there's that. Thanks for coming along on this flight with me to deliver those supplies. Your help was really appreciated. I feel like I'm now in one of those original missions from like FSX. I think, for the most part, those are off. That can go ahead and go off. Shut that up. Now, here's a question that I haven't wondered. It's here. That can go off. Oh, that can go off. That goes off. Hold on. I can't see well enough right now to set these up. Okay. And that's on norm, which is fine. Avionics are off. Okay. And I don't believe you can actually turn off your tablet, but everything's turned off. The parking brake is on. Everything else is shut down. Fuel flow is off. All right, let's jump out here. Now, here's something I'm curious about, and I don't think you can actually do. I don't think you can put things back. Somehow this texture is dirtier than when we first came out. Yeah, I don't think we can put things back, which would actually be kind of cool. If it could, we could then go through and be like, oh, let's put our pitot covers and stuff back on. No, this is definitely dirtier than when we took off. That's new. You can see all the mud and stuff that we pulled up when we landed. Man, they're gonna have me washing this probably. But anyway, so there is a quick flight in FS 2024, and it's awesome. And I know that there's a lot of work to do, but please just hang in there, and we'll keep flying. So until next time, yeah, have fun, fly safe.